Alith Anar, often referred to as the Prince of Nagarith and the Shadow King, is the ancient yet enduring ruler of the kingdom of Nagarith in Ulthuan. He stands as the last scion of the noble house Anar. According to tradition, Alith Anar ascended to leadership after the treacherous witch king Malekith and his dark elven followers fled to Nagaroth, marking the end of the bloody civil war known as the Sundering. As the final heir of a once great lineage, Alith Anar's ascension was stained by tragedy, with his predecessors failing to the hands of Malekith's minions. In the aftermath, Nagarith was still teeming with hidden dark elves. Alith Anar dedicated himself to the eradication with a relentless and ruthless zeal. His methods were brutal. Those who were not slain in battle were crucified on trees, as a grim warning to all who passed by. With each raid and incineration of enemy camps, Alith Anar's infamy grew. His merciless tactics led many high elves to fear that his quest for vengeance had driven him to adopt the very cruelty he despised in dark elf enemies. The final fate of Alith Anar remains shrouded in mystery. The shadow warriors of Nagarith but still believe that he is still around in the mortal world, an immortal spirit of vengeance. They recount sightings of a grey-clad figure kneeling before Elothir's tomb on the darkest night of the season of frost, as if in contemplation of the bloody deeds to come. While many high elves dismiss these tales, some secretly wish they were true. For the Witch King Malekith, though beyond mortal concerns, may still fear the retribution of Alith Anar. The court of the Phoenix King Anarion, after his marriage to Morathi, became a breeding ground for dark influences. It was during the reign of Phoenix King Bel-Shanar that the cults of excess began to take root. Fueled by the debauched practices introduced by Morathi, declaring herself Queen of Nagarith in Malekith's absence, Morathi further entrenched her influence over the kingdom. The nobles of House Anar, among the staunchest supporters of Malekith, played a pivotal role in capturing Anlek from Morathi. These decadent nobles were key figures in Malekith's power base, having fought alongside him against the demons of chaos during the Great Catastrophe. The ranks of these nobles included many powerful wizards whose dark magics bolstered Malekith's rebellion. However, not all of Nagarith's people supported Malekith's revolt against the true Phoenix King. Many high elves were horrified by the moral decay brought about by Morathi's influence, and even more disgusted by Malekith's betrayal of Bel-Shanar. These loyal high elves became the first victims of Malekith's wrath, as their defiance led to the swift destruction of their homes and lives. The civil war left scars that would never fully heal, cementing a deep-seated enmity between the followers of Malekith and those who remained loyal to the Phoenix throne. As the Shadow King, Alith Anar's role became one of unyielding resistance against the forces of darkness. He led his followers in a grim crusade, seeking to eradicate the taint of the Druchii from Ulthuan, driven by an unquenchable thirst for vengeance and justice for his fallen kin. The greatest hero of Nagarith was Alith Anar, the Shadow King. A scion of one of their noblest houses, Alith Anar's family immediately pledged their loyalty to the true Phoenix King during the Sundering, the brutal civil war that split the elven race. Many loyal Nagarithi rallied to his banner, ready to stand against the rising tide of Malekith's rebellion. At the Battle of Dark Fen, the loyalist Nagarithi faced the overwhelming forces of the Dark Elves. Despite being outnumbered 3-1, the loyal elves were led by Alith Anar, Alith Anar's father and a master tactician. Under his command, the archer and spear regiments skillfully outmaneuvered their foes. Hundreds of dark elves fell as they crossed the treacherous fen, brought down by a hail of black-fetched arrows. Yet, as battle lines finally clashed, the ferocity of the dark elf warriors tested the resolve of Eolithir's forces. Amidst the chaos, Eothlir and his household stood firm, the proud banner of the Anars flying defiantly, until the Dark Elf General's black dragon crushed it underfoot. Elthlid was savaged by the beast, his last words a desperate plea for his son, Alith, to flee. As panic spread through the loyalist ranks, few of Alith Anar's followers survived the ensuing slaughter. They were relentlessly pursued through the fens and marshes for weeks, only emerging when the Dark Elves abandoned their hunt. Returning to their devastated homeland, Alith Anar and his companions found their ancestral homes in ruin. The sight of the elderly and innocent slain was harrowing. They discovered that Alith's grandfather, Eolaran Anar, had been captured and taken to the dungeons of Alec, never to be seen again. This profound loss ignited a burning desire for vengeance in Alith Anar and his warriors. They swore terrible oaths to exact retribution on the Dark Elves, launching a campaign of guerrilla warfare against Malekith's forces. They ambushed supply lines, butchered messengers, and disrupted reinforcements, becoming a reckless thorn in the side of the Dark Elven armies. In one notable encounter, the Second Battle of the Illyrian Plains, Alith Anar and his warriors played a pivotal role. The Dark Elf army, equipped with numerous Reaper bowl throwers, wreaked havoc on the High Elves. However, as the Witch King's forces advanced, the Reapers fell silent one by one. Alith Anar and his warriors had emerged from hiding, overrunning the crews and leaving the war machines in ruins. Their swift and decisive actions turned the tide of the battle, earning them the gratitude of Calador the Conqueror. When the Witch King and his mother Morathi finally fled Ulthuan, the remaining nobles of Nagarith turned to Alith Anar for leadership. Though their land was devastated and their reputation sullied, viewed by other High Elves as barely better than the Dark Elves they fought against, the loyal Nagarithi found a renewed sense of purpose. In the shattered groves beneath Dragon Pass, these few noble families swore a blood oath to Alith Anar, pledging to eradicate Malekith and his followers. They became known as the Nagarithi Shadow Warriors, with Alith Anar as their leader, the Shadow King. Under his leadership, the Shadow Warriors became a legendary force, their loyalty to Alith Anar unwavering. Their mission was clear: to seek justice for their fallen kin and to ensure that the darkness brought by Malekith and his followers would be extinguished from Ulthuan once and for all. The legacy of Alith Anar and his warriors endures as a symbol of resilience and unyielding vengeance in the face of overwhelming darkness. In the aftermath of the Sundering, many Dark Elves remained hidden throughout Ulthuan, and the Shadow Warriors dedicated themselves to rooting out these remnants of evil. This task was undertaken with a ruthless vengeance by Alith Anar and his followers, who soon became a terrifying legend among their enemies. The name of Alith Anar struck fear into the hearts of the Dark Elves, as his warriors left none alive. Any who survived the initial onslaught and attempted to surrender or escape were captured and massacred, their fate serving a grim reminder of the Shadow King's relentless pursuit. One of the most infamous actions taken by Alith Anar occurred after the Battle of Griffin Pass. He captured 700 Dark Elves and nailed them to the white cliffs overlooking the valley, where they were left to die slowly. Their corpses remained hanging for years, decaying until their bones fell to the ground below. This sight, marked by the red stains from the iron nails used in the execution, became a haunting testament to Alith Anar's merciless justice, and the bones can still be found there today. The Shadow King's campaign did not stop within the borders of Ulthuan. Alith Anar led his warriors against the newly established Dark Elven strongholds in Nagaroth. In these desolate northern lands, the Shadow Warriors became a persistent thorn in the Witch King's side, attacking his ships, ambushing his warriors, and plundering his supply convoys. Their daring knew no bounds, and they executed their raids with unmatched cunning and ferocity. One of the most legendary tales of Alith Anar's exploits recounts how he infiltrated the court of the Witch King in disguise and danced with Morathi herself. In an audacious move, he stole the Stone of Midnight from her treasury and outwitted the witch elf sent to capture him, poisoning them before vanishing into the wilderness. This act of defiance made a mockery of all the magical protections and guardians set by Morathi, leaving her humiliated and enraged. She has since offered immense rewards, including eternal youth, a room filled with gold, and a night with the most beautiful of her witch elves, to anyone who could return the stolen treasure. Despite these tempting bounties, the bravest of the Dark Elves hesitate to hunt the elusive Shadow King. The final fate of Alith Anar remains shrouded in mystery. No one knows what ultimately became of him, but his legacy endures through his descendants, the Alith Anar, or son of Anar. These grim heirs continue to lead the wandering folk of Naggaroth, upholding the ancient oath sworn by their ancestors. The title of Shadow King remains reserved for Alith Anar alone, a testament to his unparalleled leadership and enduring legend. Around the campfires of the Shadow Warriors, stories of Alith Anar are still told with reverence. They speak of him as a living warrior, an elf bound to the shadows, a spirit of vengeance who roams the world until the Witch King is finally defeated. This eternal war against Malekith and his followers continues, driven by the unyielding resolve and dark legacy left by Alith Anar, the Shadow King. In the alternate Storm of Chaos timeline, while the armies of Chaos ravaged the Old World, the Dark Elves launched a major invasion of Ulthuan. However, their assault was brought to a halt when Malekith, the Witch King, suffered grievous wounds at the hands of Eltharion the Blind, a formidable sword master of Hoeth. Refusing to rest on his laurels after the victory in Ulthuan, Eltharion planned a daring counterattack into Naggaroth, aiming to end Malekith's reign once and for all. To carry out this audacious mission, Eltharion sought the support of the legendary Shadow King Alith Anar. Together with a contingent of Shadow Warriors and Sword Masters of Hoeth, they set sail for the desolate lands of Naggaroth. Their objective was not merely to defend their homeland, but to strike fear and havoc into the heart of their enemy's territory. The plan was to assault Naggarond, the Dark Capital, forcing the wounded Malekith to confront them in a desperate bid to protect his stronghold. The ensuing battle was fierce and chaotic. The forces of the Asur fought valiantly, and their cause was bolstered by the arrival of reinforcements led by Belenair the Wise, Eltharion's mentor. Despite the bolstered ranks, the situation grew dire when Eltharion narrowly escaped death at the hands of the Cainite assassin Shadowblade. The intervention of Belenair was crucial, as he sought to persuade Eltharion to abandon his campaign and return to Ulthuan, citing an urgent need for all elven warriors to defend their homeland, as decreed by the court. While Eltharion was steadfast in his resolve to pursue his vendetta against the Witch King, Alith Anar found himself contemplating the implication of defying the Phoenix King's order. The Shadow King understood that further disobedience could blur the line between loyalty and treason, a line he had always been careful not to cross, despite his ruthless methods against the Dark Elves. This moment of reflection highlighted the complexity of Alith Anar's character as he weighed his duty to his people against his personal vendettas that had driven him for so long. Alith Anar, known as the Prince of Naggaroth and the Shadow King, remains the formal ruler of the Kingdom of Naggaroth in Ulthuan. The last surviving member of the noble house of Anar, as a devout follower of the elven trickster god Lurk, Alith Anar is a master of deception and misdirection. On the battlefield, he is a vengeful revenant, driven to exact retribution on every Dark Elf for the countless atrocities committed by Malekith against the High Elves and the people of Naggaroth. The Stone of Midnight is a powerful jewel that once belonged to Morathi, gifted to her by her husband, the Phoenix King Anarion. This mystical artifact cloaks its wearer in an impenetrable mist of darkness. Anyone attempting to strike at the possessor is confronted with horrifying visions of their worst nightmares, witnessing their own death and the ultimate failure of all their life's endeavours. The stone's power serves as both a defense and a psychological weapon, paralyzing foes with fear. The Shadow Crown is a simple silver circlet set with a single diamond, symbolizing the rightful rule of Nagaryth. This ancient artifact holds a unique power. By invoking the name of his kingdom and asserting his sovereignty, Alith Anar can momentarily freeze time. This blink of an eye pause allows him to evade danger, escaping from perilous situations with ease. The Shadow Crown embodies Alith Anar's claim to leadership and his uncanny ability to vanish from sight. The Moonbow is a legendary weapon bestowed upon Alith Anar by the elven goddess Lilith. Forged from a pale, shimmering metal, this exquisite bow glitters under the moonlight. Its arrows are not only deadly, but also instill profound fear in the hearts of the treacherous Nagarothi. The mere whisper of an arrow loosed from the moonbow is enough to send shivers down the spine of any dark elf, as they know it heralds swift and certain doom. These artifacts are more than just tools of war. They are deeply tied to Alith Anar's identity and legacy. Each piece of his war gear enhances his abilities as a shadowy avenger, ensuring that he remains a formidable and feared figure among both allies and enemies. Through these relics, Alith Anar's legend as the Shadow King endures, a symbol of relentless pursuit of justice and the unyielding spirit of Nagaryth. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you liked this, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what I should cover next.